So guys, see this valve body? Yeah, we're going to talk about it and the fun it's given me in the past several months. Earlier in the year, if you've been following the channel, I've been having transmission issues on the Montero and specifically shifting issues. If you check out these videos here, I tried a few things to remedy the issue using seafoam trans-tune, drain and fill, and it did solve the issue, but it kind of reappeared after a few months later. It started to come back. So I pretty much determined and just assumed that there's either a shift solenoid issue or a valve body issue. Now the Montero uses an AW30 or AW4 Aisin transmission, 4-speed. This has been used in many other vehicles other than the Montero. It's been on Toyotas, it's been on Jeeps, it's been on Kias. I think it's been on even the Isuzus. This might pertain to a transmission. If you are watching this video, you're probably looking up something for the AW30, AW4 Aisin transmission. This is my experience, so maybe this will help you out. But like I said, I was having shifting issues. I went ahead and ordered a reman valve body from eBay. The seller rating was pretty high, and based on the ad, it looked like a rebuilt valve body, as you can see right here on the screen. But when I got it, it was not exactly what I got. It's not exactly what they claimed it is. I'm going to show you here comparison pictures. This is the valve body that came off the Montero compared to what I got, and you can clearly see that black area that you see in the difference between the two photos. That's a gasket. It's missing off the reman valve body, and if you look at it even more closely, it looked like they cut the gasket right at the edge. And technically, by just looking at that, this was not a rebuilt valve body. It went through a whole ordeal. Basically, it took me almost a month disputing with PayPal, eBay, all this stuff. I just want my money back. I asked them to just honor it and just send me another one. And their solution was to, right here, keep the valve body, and I get like 25 something bucks. I don't remember. And it took a while to get all the money back that I paid for the valve body. So after I got that money back, I went on a search to find another valve body. I found a website to go ahead and that would rebuild the valve body. They had actually some rebuilt ones, but they were not specifically for Mitsubishi. It was actually for Toyota. But through my research, like I said, Toyota used these transmissions, whatever. I contacted them and I told them, and they said, and rightfully so, they can't guarantee that it would fit, but I was pretty sure. They did say it's going to have Toyota solenoids. They weren't sure, and there might be some very small minor differences between the Mitsubishi one, but it should work for the AW30 AW4 transmission. So I ordered it. The guy answered all my questions, and I had to wait on another few weeks for that to come in. And not only that, I had to order some couple gaskets that I could not get here from Mitsubishi here in North America. I had to actually get it from Japan, and that took a while. Around that time, also around beginning of September, Japan had like a 2-week holiday, so everything was shut down. So that even prolonged the waiting for those parts for me to finally get the valve body. Okay, here is my original valve body from the Montero that I took out. So originally I thought possibly there was a solenoid issue, maybe there was blockage in the channels. I just didn't know what was causing the issue. But when I received the new valve body right here, it's the new reman one, I was just inspecting things, making sure everything was whatever, everything looks good, identical. But when I started moving around, right here, this is called the throttle valve. So your kick down cable, let me remove this. This is my map for the valve body because the different bolts, different sizes go in different parts of the valve body and mark that. But back to the subject, this is the kick down cable where it goes. So connects here, it's like a throttle body. Every time you accelerate this plunger valve kind of directs flow to the different channels. If you know what a valve body, when you take it apart, there's a bunch of channels to basically get the right fluid to the right gear to, make the transmission do its thing. So this is called a throttle valve. So as you can see, as you step on the throttle, this pulls it, and that valve does its magic, right? So what I notice, if you look here, this is part of the throttle valve. And I'm going to show you something here. When I move this, pay attention here. See that? Nothing is moving here, right? You can obviously see I'm engaging the throttle valve and it's not moving. So I'm going to show you the new valve body. Here's the new valve body. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to engage this throttle valve and pay attention right here. See that? It's moving. My hypothesis here is I'm thinking, I looked at some diagrams, and this throttle valve, there is like a spring mechanism somewhere around here that connects to this other part of the valve. Something happened internally. Something happened here that's preventing this from engaging that. And this valve is basically, like I told you, regulating flow to the different channels for your transmission to operate. I have a feeling, because this is not engaging, that's where my first gear issue. There's no flow of fluid getting to the solenoid, to whatever, to make it obviously function properly. So I'm guessing, I'm pretty much leaning to that. That's what's causing my main issue. I'm just trying to figure out if this is a common thing, or it's just one of those freak things that happen to just my car. But either or, I got the new valve body here, and we're gonna install this one. But like I said, just going over the two valve bodies, they are both they're identical, right? A lot of the castings are very identical. The only main difference that I saw between the two, here's a couple of them. On this particular area here, this has like two openings, where this only has one giant one. But these two are identical here. This is the solenoid for the Mitsu right here, and this is the solenoid for this one. These are much larger than the original ones that came off the Montero. But other than that, it's very, very identical. There's a slight difference on the kickdown cable, like lever here. The Mitsu one, it has this groove where the cable sits, and then it connects to, there's a spot here, there's a hole, I don't know if you see it at the end right there. That's where it connects to. And then it kind of smooths out here, whereas this one here, same thing, but then it has another, it's not smooth like this one. So throttle cable can probably just sit in there. I don't know if that's going to make a big difference in how they operate, because by just visually looking, they look like they're in the same spots, other than the two differences are here. I really don't want to mess with this. I'm hoping everything just bolts up and works correctly. I thought about swapping it out, but I'm just gonna run with it. If if it happens to have issues, then I'll just have to remove the pan, and I can take this out while it's still on the transmission. I think. I hope. Oh geez, I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I'm just crossing my fingers. Okay, here's the transmission.
It's windy, so if you hear noise, it's just the wind. But that's the transmission. That's with the valve body off. You can see some of the internal components of the transmission. These are the actuators. A couple of them came out when I removed the valve body. Some stayed in. So that actuator and the spring came out, and that one did too. But yeah, that's what I'm dealing with here. So I'm just gonna prep the pan, clean it up a little bit. There's that kick down cable that hooks up to that throttle valve that I was explaining to you. That goes there. Here's the harness for the solenoids. That's obviously gets connected to the solenoids, but pretty simple. I just have to make sure the actuators that came out, I just have to put them back in the right spot, and we'll go from there. So yeah, let's go ahead and see if we can mount this valve body. All right, everything's lined up. Unfortunately, I got these actuators to stay in place. My biggest problem is this piece right here, this little spring with a ball. It's tough. Obviously, it'd be a lot easier if this was sitting on its side, but this right here, I'll show you. I'll take it out. It's like a, I don't know what this is, like a valve or something. It goes in here. It's staying in there. The problem is the spring. Obviously, it's just falling out, so I have to like guide it in, and it's proven to be a little difficult. So it's not cooperating. Oh, come on, man. It took me a little bit. I didn't videotape it because honestly, I was just really concentrating in getting the valve body lined up and getting that little ball spring and the actuators to making sure they're seated properly. But everything's good. It's all lined up. All I have to do right now is basically just start putting the bolts in to start securing it. Everything is, it's not sitting where it's at, obviously, because I'm not bolted up. I did this whole contraption here with the jack and some pieces of wood to kind of guide it in, because there's no, it was really getting annoying trying to get that ball and everything lined up with one hand and the other hand trying to whatever. So I came up with this contraption and it works. So everything looks good. I'm going to check the other side real quick, but all the actuators are all in place. That little ball and spring that I showed you is in its spot. All the holes that I can see right here are all lined up, and it's basically sitting where it's supposed to on the other parts of the transmission. So yeah, I'm just gonna bolt it up right now. If you have the FSM, you could use that. It does give you directions, but I went ahead and made my own map here where all the valve, these bolts that bolt up the valve body to the transmission. As you can see here, I made a map, like putting where the solenoid's at and trying to get a good general shape of the valve body and just marking where the bolts are. So there's two different size bolts that bolt the valve body to the transmission. They're signified by like millimeters, so it's 23 and then 32. So they go in specific spots because the valve body is not flush, if you kind of understand. That's my map. That's what I did. I mean, you could do it whatever way you feel like you can do to remember. But yeah, that's my map. So basically I know where each bolt goes, and yeah, just bolt it up. All right, I got enough, I got like bolts on each corner of the valve body, so it should be enough to hold it up while I put the rest of the bolts on. Lower this down, loosen it. Hopefully, I'm doing it real slow. There we go. Get them tight enough, and then we'll torque them down the spec. All right. Well, counter the problem. So, these solenoids, the harness will not bolt up. Not because the plugs don't match, it's because I can't fit them. These plugs are too long. What I mean by that is, and this one here is not enough slack anyways to even get to this solenoid. So when I showed you earlier, if you remember, the factory Mitsubishi ones, the plug was facing out, all of these, and they were much smaller than what's on these. I was hoping that this would still bolt up, but now I have everything bolted in as far as valve body. That is not the case because like here on this particular one here, if you see, normally it would just plug right there, but the female side is facing this way rather than outside on the original Mitsu ones. So one, there's not enough slack to even get there, and two, this plug, there's not enough room to even get into that little spot here. These, there's ample room. Problem is, the plugs are too big, too long to fit in that space. I guess because this one came out of the Toyota, the plugs must be a lot smaller or different shape to where they can plug this way, but these ones, there's no way. Um, it's not gonna happen. There's no way it's gonna happen. I'm gonna have to take out the ones off the Montero, the valve body, and I'm gonna cross my fingers that they are fine. That my problem was that valve, that throttle valve I was showing to you, that was the issue, not the actual solenoids. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the ones out of the original ones from the Montero. I'm going to take them out. I'm going to clean them and I'm going to test them to see if they do engage. If I put power to them, the solenoid should open and close, and slap those in, and it should fit. Okay, I need to find out. So this is the original. This is the original valve body you took out in the Montero, and this is one of the solenoids. So it sit right there. So that's the original solenoid. And then I went ahead and took out the same solenoid that's sitting in the same spot on the new valve body. And as you can see, here it is. And I wanted to see if there was any different diameter from these two. So like I said, this fits in there, so I'm going to try this one. Fits. One. Yeah. Probably take the O-ring off this one, put it on that. But yeah, look at the difference between the two solenoids. So like this one came off a Toyota. What's weird is solenoid, but this one says Aisin on it. See it? That says Aisin. So this is actual Aisin solenoid. This might be a Toyota one. I don't know. It doesn't. I don't see any casting numbers or anything like this on this one. But either or, this will not work. So I'm gonna have to clean these, make sure these work as they should, and I'm gonna stick these on the new valve body that I just installed. So we are gonna go ahead and test out the solenoids. I got everything I need here to test it out. What I'm going to do, I'm going to take each solenoid, and what we're going to do first is test for resistance, the ohms test. I couldn't find it on
the Mitsubishi FSM for the Montero, but through my research, the Aisin solenoids should be between 11 to 15 ohms resistance to be within spec of operating spec. So as long as these solenoids are within range, that's good. Now, after I test them for ohms, I'm going to test for actual operation. So we're going to put power, 12 volts of power to each solenoid, and here for the click. If that solenoid passes both those tests, they're good. The solenoids are ready to go, and then after that, I'm going to proceed, clean them up with some mass air flow cleaner to get them cleaned out if there's any gunk inside um, the solenoid to get it all clean before we reinstall it. All right, already had this solenoid unbolted, so solenoid's out. So what you want to do is you want to get your multimeter, right, and set it for ohms resistance. Right there, that's indicating that symbol there, like a horseshoe shape. A good tool to have are alligator clips to measure. So what I'm going to do is, obviously black is for negative. We're going to connect reds for positive. Now on the solenoids, the positive will go to where this plug on the female end. You want to put the alligator clip and clip it to that prong right there. Now the negative is the bracket. Bracket is the ground. Got the clip on the bracket, and then hook this up on the prong. 13.9. So it's within spec. Ground on the bracket, positive on here. Okay, there's an issue. It is jumping 6. That's way below spec. So that is not a good sign for this solenoid. I'm going to go and test this last solenoid and see what we get on that one. Wow, okay. That's obviously non-spec. It's now at 49 ohms. That is way above spec. So this one was way below spec. This one's way above spec. These two solenoids are not good. Only one of the solenoids passed the ohms test, the resistance test. It's this one right here. These two failed it miserably. Now I'm doing test 2 to see if they actually operate. Based on the resistance test, the only one that should be clicking is this one. These should not be clicking. So we're going to go and do that now. Now, to test for operation, you need to apply 12 volts of power to each solenoid. So what I'm going to use is this. This is a conversion tool for Ryobi batteries. All my power tools are Ryobi. All right, Team Green, Team Green. But anyways, you can get this for basically DeWalt, Milwaukee, any of those brands. What it does, it converts the 18 volts from the battery to 12 volts. It has a switch here to turn it on and off. You can see. And then once I turn this on, I should be getting 12. 12.17. Okay, we're going to start going down each solenoid. We're going to start on this one. This is the one that passed the resistance, the ohms test, right? So what I'm going to do here, you're not going to hear me talking. I'm going to put the microphone next to it. So you're going to hopefully hear the click that the solenoid makes when we put power to it. I'm going to go and turn this on. You should hear a click. So I will be quiet now. Okay, you heard the click. That is working. It's as expected. It passed the resistance. It should pass power test. So this solenoid here is in working order. Now we're going to test it for this one next. I'm going to turn on power, see if it clicks. As you could have heard, you didn't hear the loud click. Okay, you did hear a click every time I turned this on, but obviously it should have been louder because the click should have been the microphone should have been picking the click. Here, if it was working, it would be much louder, like on this one. You did not hear it. You heard the click on this one. So this one failed. All right. So now we're going to test this one. There you go. No click. There's no power. I mean, there's power going to it. This is not working. So the two solenoids that failed the resistance test failed the power test for function. So I have two bad solenoids. This is the only good one. So what does this mean? Well, I'm gonna have to find new solenoids. If you watch Erlin's video, the original solenoids that came with the reman valve body were Toyota ones. They obviously will not work. So I'm gonna have to find solenoids that like the ones in the Montero, and I'm hoping other manufacturers and other models use the same solenoids. Remember, these Aisin AW30 transmissions were used on a variety of models and manufacturers. And I'm going to have to see if any of those models use the same solenoids. Okay, the new solenoids came in. I ordered them last week. And these solenoids are actually from a Jeep XJ with the same transmission, the AW30. Well, Jeep calls it AW4, but it's the same exact transmission as in the Montero, the same Aisin one. So I did some research. I went online. I went on eBay to try to look, and I found this seller that was selling these solenoids. And I looked at the pictures, and they looked identical to the ones that came off the Montero right there. So asked the guy a few questions. I asked him to give me some pictures of the ohm test because he said they were tested and cleaned. And he sent me pictures, and from the pictures, I think these are all at 13, 13.5, around that range, and that's within spec. Remember, this one, this is the only functioning one. Remember from the initial test from the Montero that was still, it was like 13.5. That was its own reading. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to test these out, same resistance test as the Montero, and these should be all within spec. This is what he told me. But yeah, they are identical. Like for this is the original Montero one right here, and I'll compare the one from the Jeep. So this is this solenoid that goes right here. This is the one from the Jeep XJ. And cool thing is, it says Aisin on, just like the Montero. It says Aisin. I don't know if you can see. That one says Aisin as well. I don't know if you can see it. It's right there in that top corner. So that's really good. That I found that out. So I compared these other two to these. They're identical already. So I'm good with that. So we're going to go ahead and do the resistance test. Okay, we got this first solenoid. Negative goes on the bracket. Positive goes on to the prong. First solenoid passed, 13.9. All right, second solenoid. Pass, 13.8. Okay, last solenoid here. (13.6) Passed. Okay, now they passed the resistance test. Now we're going to check for actual function. Based on the resistance, they all work, so they should all click. All right, I'm going to do the second solenoid. All right, last solenoid. So the new solenoids passed with flying colors. They passed the ohms test and they passed the functioning test. These are ready to go on the Montero.
Okay, we're gonna start putting the correct solenoids into the valve body. So what I'm gonna do is remove these solenoids here and then replace them with the correct ones. And what we're gonna do is torque these bolts from the valve body to the actual transmission. The bolts here are 8 Newton meters. Okay, that is the torque spec for that, and then the bolts for the torque specs for the solenoid bolts, same thing, 8 Newton meters. So when you torque them down, because this is an aluminum valve body, so you prevent it from warping and just sealing correctly, you're supposed to do the crisscross pattern, start from the outside to the inner bolts. So you have all these outer bolts and then you have a couple inner bolts. So that's what we're gonna do. Okay, the new solenoids are attached, all torqued down, all connected. As you can see, I got the kick down cable lever here. Let's see if you can see it right here. It's all connected for the kick down cable, and this tube is back installed. So now we're gonna go ahead and just install the filter housing and the filter back on to the throttle body. All right, I went ahead and bought a new filter kit. This is the one I pulled out. Yes, it's only a couple months old, but after sitting out too long, it's accumulated dirt, and I don't want to clean it out. Honestly, it's only like 20 bucks for a new kit, so I'm just gonna put new filter kit on the Montero, fill her back up with the ATF. Okay, everything is buttoned up, new filters on. See the new solenoids and the valve body. So now it's just putting on the oil pan, getting the sub cross member for the transmission mount mounted. So next frame, we should be filling up the transmission fluid back on the Montero. Okay, I filled the transmission up. I pretty much put what I took out, what drained out, back in the transmission. I think I have like a quart left, so I might need to top it off, but it's filled. But another issue arose. I may have stripped the transmission drain plug bolt. I'm not sure how or what. I had it set on my torque wrench. It's set for 8 foot-pounds of torque, and I was wondering why it kept spinning. I don't know what I did, to be quite honest, but obviously it is kind of tight, but it's not tightening anymore. And as you can see, this is overnight. It is it's wet, so it's leaking slowly. So yay, I have to either remove this pan again to most likely helicoil it and get it fixed, remove all this stuff, which sucks, but oh well. So before I do that, I just want to make sure the Montero, it shifts right. So I'm gonna go and start it up, and as long as I know it's running, it's shifting fine, and I fix the issue, I'm good. And then the only thing I have to worry about is rethreading that. Hey, that's not a big deal, but I just want to make sure the Montero is shifting. So let's see if it does. All right, so here I am at the transmission oil pan, and you can see it's still leaking transmission fluid. I actually attempted to try to drain the fluid a couple days ago, and there must be some type of collar on the transmission pan because now it's just spinning. I can't even remove the drain plug. Alright, we're gonna just spin it. So I have it to where I'm gonna loosen it. See, it is not trying to loosen out. So that is my predicament right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have to remove this oil pan and somehow catch the fluid in a bucket to obviously have to drain this pan to not only repair the drain plug issue, and I also have to get that manual valve installed correctly. So yeah, that's my next step. One thing I didn't cover, other than the drain plug just keeps spinning, it actually probably worked out where I had to remove the pan anyway to rectify and fix the issue with the drain pan, the drain plug. What I didn't mention earlier was when I went to start the Montero and go through the gears, basically what was happening, every gear that I was going into, it was going forward. Reverse was going forward, neutral was going forward, and then obviously drive 2 and 1 was going forward. It was basically not going reverse or in neutral. Come to find out, after some research, I couldn't figure out why. I thought there was a solenoid issue. I thought it was a valve body issue. I forgot to install this manual valve. If you see in this picture here, it was down here. It was not connected to this. This is the shift lever here, and the manual, there's this little stud that you see right here. I don't know if you see it, connected to the lever here. As you can see, the manual valve, that little channel there, needs that stud needs to sit in there. So as you're moving through the gears, this basically directs flow to the valve body to put in whatever gear and push fluid basically to that gear to get it running. I did not install it. Look, if you look in the picture, it was uninstalled. So this right here was down here. So pretty much explained why it was always going forward. So fortunately, all I had to do was kind of just loosen the valve body, and it dropped down just enough where I was able to slide it in and then put everything back, retorqued everything to factory spec, and put everything back. So okay, my buddy welded the new bung to repair the transmission pan. This is the original bolt. As you can see, it's pretty stripped out. So what I did is I got this bung from Amazon. It's an M14 1.5 pitch thread. It's bigger, probably a lot bigger than the original, but this solves the issue. So he welded it with stainless steel tin over here to make sure it's not gonna rust. I'm gonna have to spray some galvanized spray in this area because with him torching and welding here, it burned off some of the galvanized here. So I'm gonna hit it with galvanized spray before I finish and button it up. But yeah, there it is. It's all welded in. It should not leak. And then I got this bolt here, stainless steel bolt with brass washers. This is magnetic. So not only I have the magnets on here, this will catch any metal debris. See, it's there, and this will be the new drain plug for the Montero. There it is, installed, and that's what will look like inside the pan. All right, I'm gonna spray some galvanized coating to the area generally around here, where while my buddy was welding the new bung. The heat pretty much burnt away the old galvanized coating, so I'm going to use this stuff right here, Rust-Oleum cold galvanizing compound, and just spray it here so it's at least has the galvanized coating and it has some protection again, corrosion protection like it did from factory. All right, applied some coating, so I'm just going to let it cure for a day, and then we'll continue butting up the Montero. Okay, this is the transpan after I sprayed that galvanized spray. It's not shiny like it was before, but it has a coat, so it's protected. Doesn't really matter, it's underneath the Montero. I'm just going to torque the transpan bolts real quick, and torque that, put the nut back in, and then fill it up. All right, gonna drive. Let's give it a shot. All right, about to make a turn to the main road, and we're just gonna see if it shifts through all 4 gears. It's first, second. So far, it's definitely shifting back to first gear. All right, we're gonna attempt to drive it again and see if it goes through all the gears with no issue. There we go. That's first, second. Stop. Previously, before this whole issue, it would not shift down to first gear. Yep, it's definitely back in first gear. The engine is not revving so high from almost a dead stop. All right, I've been driving around. It's fixed. It is shifting way better than ever before. It just feels so much better. I know it's probably the placebo effect, but I feel like the Montero gained like 10 horsepower. It's just how good it feels. The response, the transmission, the way it's shifting, it just feels really good. I am extremely happy right now. I miss driving this thing, and it is it's a great feeling. After these months of just crap, issue after issue, not particularly the Montero, but just the whole process of getting the valve body and all that stuff I already explained in the video. It's just relieving. I'm actually driving the Montero right now, and it's better than before, and I love it. And it's just great. There's no other words I can say. So yeah, this pretty much concludes the video. If you have any questions with it, I didn't go in depth with the repair, unfortunately, but I hope it gives you an idea of maybe if you're having similar issues, what to look for, and what could be possibly the issue with your the AW30, AW4 Aisin transmission, whether it be in your Montero, Jeep, Toyota, whatever this transmission was in. I hope it helped you out. So guys, I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching. Make sure to subscribe. Peace.